Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Super Bowl champion attacks disrespectful stance on Steelers RBs, Najee Harris, Jalen Harris. The Pittsburgh Steelers will be sporting a revamped offense in 2024. Offensive coordinator Matt Canada has been replaced by Arthur Smith, and Russell Wilson is likely to start the season at QB. The Steelers also made significant investments in their offensive line and added some new weapons for Wilson. One former Super Bowl champion recently stood up for Steelers RBs Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren as players to watch in 2024. On a recent episode of the Believe in Steelers podcast, co-hosts Ike Taylor and Mark Bergen were discussing the Steelers' 2024 regular season schedule. While discussing the Week 4 matchup against the Indianapolis Colts, co-host Mark Bergen mentioned that the Colts have a dynamic running game with Anthony Richardson, Jonathan Taylor, and a stout offensive line headlined by Quentin Nelson. "I guess you ain't respecting Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren behind a revamped offensive line, but hey," Taylor said while shrugging his shoulders. It doesn't seem like Bergen mentioned the Colts' running game to throw shade at the Steelers. Ike Taylor felt the need to stick up for Harris and Warren because they are one of the most underrated running back duos in the NFL. That narrative is starting to shift. Harris and Warren are gaining more exposure after a strong end to the 2023 season. The Steelers rushed for more than 100 yards per game and 6 total TDs in their final 4 games of the season last year, including the playoffs. Who will be the leading rusher for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2024? How productive will Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren be during the 2024 NFL season? In 2023, the Pittsburgh Steelers rushed for 2,010 yards and 16 TDs as a team. Here's how that split out between Harris and Warren. Najee Harris. 255 carries. 1,035 rushing yards. 4.1 yards per carry. 8 TDs. Jaylen Warren. 149 carries. 784 rushing yards. 5.3 yards per carry. 4 TDs. Pittsburgh produced these results behind an offensive line that PFF graded as the 11th best run-blocking unit in the NFL in 2023. It's fair to wonder whether rookies Troy Fautanu, Mason McCormick, and Zach Frazier will be an upgrade on the left side of the line. The rookies may take some time to gain chemistry before they start playing well. Here's AFC team the Pittsburgh Steelers contacts $96 million free agent, Michael Thomas, and he could sign imminently. AFC team the Pittsburgh Steelers contacts $96 million free agent wide receiver Michael Thomas, who could sign a contract imminently. According to reports, the Steelers have been in contact with the veteran wideout to be a possible replacement for Deontay Johnson. Pittsburgh hasn't had any luck this offseason finding their next receiver in the free agent market. However, they were busy trying to make a big splash trade this past NFL draft by making an offer to San Francisco for Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk. However, the 49ers aren't looking to trade either of their star receivers to any team. This doesn't mean the Steelers won't get somebody else in the thin market of available wideouts. The Steelers aren't content with their wide receiver room and Thomas is the best available. Any help would be sufficient for Pittsburgh right now as they already missed out plenty of available receivers. The likes of Courtland Sutton or Treylon Burks may be in the mix, but Thomas's addition wouldn't be a loss for both sides. However, they'll likely give Thomas a 1-year deal to see what he has left to provide an offense that's been changing. Thomas had some upside in his career after a tremendous stretch in 2018 and 2019 where he was a 2-time All-Pro. His 149 receptions in 2019 make him the NFL record holder for the most receptions in a single season. The 2019 Offensive Player of the Year isn't the same player he was. However, he could still bring a lot to a struggling offense if one needs it. The Steelers look to be desperate as training camp is next month and Russell Wilson is without a WR1. They need someone to help George Pickens on the opposite side. AFC team Pittsburgh Steelers contacts $96 million free agent Michael Thomas, could sign imminently. How he fits. As of now, the Steelers don't have a proven receiver to fill the shoes of Johnson. This would leave most of the work to Pickens, while they still have some other wideouts. A platoon of Roman Wilson, Scotty Miller, Van Jefferson and Quez Watkins will be counted on to be the temporary replacement. However, they need a reliable starter to take over the receiving core next to Pickens for a few years. Thomas is the replacement to fill that hole if the Steelers aren't looking to spend too much money. His injury history and lack of production could give the team the leverage to give him a cheap deal. However, one can wonder what he has left still to provide for a team, being that he hasn't been able to stay healthy. They need someone to help Pickens since he's in line to his first 1,000-yard season, but the outside options are limited. The Steelers would want to avoid having one receiver carrying the weight. However, the additions of the new receivers for Pittsburgh this offseason could help, but that seems unlikely. Some still believe the Steelers could trade for a big time, but don't count out a free agent addition. Here are some potential destinations for Thomas if he doesn't end up in Pittsburgh. One prominent NFL analyst believes that the Pittsburgh Steelers could fire longtime head coach Mike Tomlin at the end of the 2024 season. The Pittsburgh Steelers have yet to record a losing season under head coach Mike Tomlin, but the team could still fire him following the 2024 season. The 2023 Steelers were not nearly as good as their record, as the team went 9-2 in one-score games, a result that is completely unsustainable over a large sample. Rumors swirled during the early stages of the offseason that Tomlin could leave the team voluntarily, but the head coach will return for his 17th, and possibly final, season with the Steelers. During a recent episode of the Colin Cowherd podcast, the NFL personality hinted that Pittsburgh could fire Mike Tomlin following the season, specifically pointing out the Steelers' tough end to the schedule. Did you see the last 6 quarterbacks Pittsburgh face? Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, and Burrow, again. Mike Tomlin is going to be on network broadcasting. NFL analyst predicts Steelers will fire Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin might not be the Vince Lombardi of his generation, but it's hard to think that the Steelers would fire him after just one bad season. Russell Wilson isn't the player he used to be, but he's still a sizable upgrade on the underwhelming trio of Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, and Mason Rudolph. Unless this team ends up with a top 5 pick, Tomlin will probably return in 2025. Of course, this is all assuming that he wants to come back. Pittsburgh's longtime head coach debated leaving the team in the offseason, with his uncertainty and contract frustration spilling over into the media. Perhaps the Steelers won't fire Mike Tomlin, but the two sides could agree to a mutual parting if the 2024 season goes sideways. If that happens, teams looking for head coaches in 2025 should have the one-time Super Bowl champion atop their wish list. Robert Saleh has led 3 straight seasons with 10 or more losses during his tenure as the Jets' head coach. While the atrocious quarterback play certainly affected this record, he'll have no excuse if he can't win games with Aaron Rodgers. If Rodgers stays healthy and the Jets still can't go on a deep postseason run, Saleh will probably end up looking for a new job. If and when that happens, the Jets should pursue Mike Tomlin if the Steelers fire him. It takes a special type of coach to deal with the media circus that is Aaron Rodgers in New York, and Tomlin has already proved he can weather any off-field storm. And are you a fan? What do you think of Mike Tomlin's firing? Leave your opinion in the comments.